Well, in this country, today's Father's Day. Today's Father's Day. Although today is a difficult one for me to, more than any other Father's Day, is that my son is not here. He's thousands of miles away in America. So, and we may not see him for 2 years. I'll explain. Basically, he got the news on Monday that I need to get this right. He was taking his masters in Glasgow University, and he's now a master in science of genetics with first class honours. So there you go. After 5 years of hard work, he came out with first class honours in his masters in genetics, which means it opens an awful lot of doors for him. But he's going to work for the second time. The last 2 years haven't been able to do it due to something called COVID. He's gone to work in a camp in America, teaching children of rich American families from New York, in a place called Wayne in Maine. Sounds like a made up. It's called Wayne. Wayne's World. It's not potty time, and it's excellent. But it's in Maine. Wayne is in Maine, and he's gone to a camp there to teach his rich American children how to do archery, amongst other things. So he got his award on Monday. On Wednesday we went to Glasgow University. I think I might put up a picture of Glasgow University, him dressed in his kilt and his cape and his mortarboard and his wee thing with his certificate, although his certificate we haven't got it yet. We had to do a fake ceremony because his actual graduation ceremony, he'll be in Wayne in Maine, so we had to do a fake one. But luckily we had the whole of the cloisters in Glasgow University on a sunny day to ourselves. We've got glorious pictures instead of surrounded by like 100 other kids and their parents and no room to take any special photographs. So that was Wednesday. Wednesday night we had a celebration meal, which ended up being his going away meal with his family, because on the next day we took him to Edinburgh Airport and he took off. We left him and he was off, and there you go. Our son of 23 is off to see the big wide world. He's planning to go to Maine. He's in Wayne, Maine, and then he's going over to the west coast of San Francisco, LA, Grand Canyon to do a tour there. Then he's going to fly from there to Brisbane in Australia, and he hopes to work in Australia for a year and then work in New Zealand for a year. So I don't know when we're going to see him, because obviously me and my wife are poor old souls and we can't afford those luxury long haul flights anymore. So yeah, it's a time of reflection more than anything. But what I've been reflecting on, obviously, is how things would have been different if we'd remained Jehovah's Witnesses. He was born into the Witnesses, albeit for 6 months or whatever, 5 months. And if he'd been brought up as a witness like me, well, I was brought up in the majority as a witness. I think for the first 9 years, obviously, I wasn't. But if he was brought up as a witness like me, how different his whole life would have been. As you're aware, anybody who's, I don't think anything's changed, but when I was growing up as a witness, of course, Armageddon was just round the corner. So 50 years on, it must be even more closer than it was 50 years ago. Whatever. And therefore we weren't encouraged to look for careers in the doomed world. We weren't encouraged to look for further education in the doomed world, because of course the system of things was closing. And we were told to therefore we were told several times from the platform that if you're not pioneering, you need to justify to your God why you're not. So of course, wow, what a guilt trip to put on any young person. So needless to say, that's what a lot of us did do who took the religion serious. We said we've got to pioneer, and then therefore, sort of then started a career of shitty jobs that went on for fucking ever. And that's how it's been. That's how where I am at the moment. Unfortunately, I did at one point have a really good job, which was my own business, but hey ho, that went tits up after 17 pretty good years. So it hasn't all been sort of low paid shitty jobs like I'm doing at the moment. But that's the consequences of being brought up as a witness and not taking your career or further education as serious as we should have done, because of course Armageddon didn't come, and now we're faced with the consequences of not having a trade or what have you, or having a very good pension, purely because of the witnesses, because of that. And my son probably would have ended the same. Probably if he'd been brought up in the witnesses, I would have encouraged him to be a pioneer, to be a ministerial servant, to go to the ministerial servant training school, to have a crappy job with a crappy car, you know, and that's would have been his life that I would have encouraged. However, that never happened. What I think about more than anything else, I've got a Father's Day card here, and I've had a Father's Day card from my son from the moment my wife stopped buying them for my son. Write this for you, Dad. And he sourced lots of interesting cards where he manages to put pictures of me and him. That was taken actually a year ago yesterday when we were in Orkney. That picture was taken with our dog Dougal, who's now down there. But of course Jehovah's Witnesses don't do Father's Day. So if he'd been brought up as a witness, I never had a Father's Day card from my son. And I reflect on the fact that if he'd been brought up as a witness, how many families out there have been torn apart because their son or their daughter got disfellowshipped, and therefore it severed the natural family ties that people have, whereupon you have to then shun your own flesh and blood. And I would have probably done what all the rest of the Jehovah's Witnesses do and follow the command of the organisation. And I still shall never forget the video several years ago, around about the time of the bunker video. There was the video of, I think it's about the same assembly, where there was about being disfellowshipped, and there was a disfellowshipped girl. I think she got disfellowshipped in the drama for fornication, I believe, falling in love with somebody. And then we saw that it wasn't really working out in a relationship. And I remember this awful scene, and I may have mentioned this in a video a long time ago, whereupon the mother's preparing a meal for just now her and her husband, and the phone rings, and she just like gets up the phone. I think she's chopping onions or whatever, and she has a casual look at the caller display, and I think it obviously came up as DF, disfellowshipped, and she picked it up, looked at it, and then put it down and carried on chopping onions. And I thought that of all the Jehovah's Witnesses things which I hate about them, that was probably the moment I hated them more than I've ever hated them, because that wasn't a sort of some dodgy, spurious video. This was shown to the millions of Jehovah's Witnesses around the world that that's how you should treat a disfellowshipped son or daughter. That if they ring, that you do not take the call. And that call could have been anything. It could have been a call from a paramedic saying, sorry, your son here has been injured in a car crash. I've just dialed the number here because it says Mum. We're taking him to so-and-so hospital. We're not too sure if he's going to make it. You better get there quickly. That could have been the call. It could have been the call saying from a daughter saying, Mum, Dad, I'm on a train now, or I've been left at a train platform and there's somebody following me. I'm really, really, really scared. It could have been, Mum, Dad, I'm feeling really suicidal at the moment. I love you both. Look after each other. That could have been the call. And yet this mother never took the call. And I remember I spoke to my brother about it when I went to see him back in the days where I used to go visit my brother and my mother in Ellesmere Port. And I said to him, you've got a disfellowshipped son. Was that how would you react? And he was saying, no, I won't do that. Yet, there's my son, my brother showing that if his son rung, he'd take the call. But the organisation is saying, no, you shouldn't take the call. What a horrible, horrible, horrible way to sort of influence the congregation to say, no, this is how you treat disfellowship people, because of course the premise is you're showing actual love to them. If you take the call, you're not showing love. If you don't take the call, you show love, because then that will bring them back to Jehovah's organisation, because they realise that, you know, you're not taking the calls. However, that's not the right reason why they're coming back to the organisation. They're coming back to the organisation because they miss their family and friends, not because they love Jehovah or the organisation. And they may come back to the organisation and then just be physically in, and they have been mentally out for years, and they may just come back, get reinstated, and then just leave again, just as long as they can still have a relationship with their mother and father. So it isn't a loving relationship at all. It's quite awful. And so I reflect upon that. The fact that hopefully I will never ever shun my son because of religious reasons at all. Because he wasn't brought up as a Jehovah's Witness. And me and my son have had a wonderful relationship. And yeah, I'm going to massively miss him. But he has to do the things he has to do, because one of my biggest regrets in my life is that when I was, I think about 16, my uncle from Madrid in Spain, I had a Spanish uncle, came over and offered me to go and live with him in Madrid and to work. And he said, maybe I convert you to my religion, or you convert me to your religion. And I ummed and ahed about this. I spoke to witnessing friends from Chester and Osbyport who said, oh no, don't go. You'll go over to a country where you can't speak the language. You know, that you go to the Kingdom Halls and you won't be able to understand the meetings, and maybe you'll leave the truth, and you've got to think about how that will impact your mum, and you know, you're going to be leaving her, and you've got to think about the, you know, the paradise is just around the corner. You could be endangering your own future by going to Madrid. Oh dear. And so I declined the offer. And of course, subsequently, at that stage I had never been abroad. It took I think I was about 16 at the time. I think it took another 15 years before I could actually afford to go abroad, and realise I'd made a horrendous mistake. You know, once I got an idea of what the life is like from people who live abroad, the sun, the late dinners, the living outdoors, I realised I made a horrendous mistake. If only I'd been to Spain many times before my uncle had approached me, I would say, Madrid, I'm there. Get me on the flight. In fact, I want to leave. Instead, I stayed in Ellesmere Port for another 5 years. For fuck's sake. Oh dear. The things you regret. So I can't, you know, I want to encourage my son to go and do these things. Why I haven't said to him, no, go and do it, because he wants to go and work in a warmer country. Australia, I think it actually might be a little bit too hot for him. But anyway, that's it. I just thought I'd share with you that message today on Father's Day. It's all happened very quick. You know, he was here Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday morning, you know, boom, he's gone. And I genuinely don't know when I'm going to see him again. Thank God that we can sort of talk each other for free when he's got the time through Facebook Messenger, and see each other. So it's not a complete disaster, but it is. It's still very tearful. A few tearful moments. Yeah, it's hard to accept that you know, it's only dinners for 2 now instead of 3, and his bed's upstairs with all his stuff around it. But heaven knows when he'll be sleeping in it again. Anyway, that's it. I'm going to go outside now. I think this cloud's just about to clear and the sun may come out, and I'll enjoy another beer. This is one of the things he did buy me for my Father's Day. He knows I like real ale, and he bought me quite a few real ales, so I'll be getting into that shortly. Anyway, that's it. Enjoy the rest of your day. For any fathers out there and they're from the UK, enjoy Father's Day. Yeah. See you later. Bye-bye.